moment in the car build. I had finally got this front windshield roughed in. I come in here and did all the fitting to flush fit the glass, and I have a real good accurate fitting all the way around now. And went ahead and sprayed that in epoxy primer. So now I can go in here and work on the inside, like put the dash in, because I need to drive the thing to see how it's going to clear. I'm going to cut out as little of these well houses as I can, but I don't know what that is, and want to make sure nothing's going to rub and all that, so I can actually get it running and drive it around a little bit and see how this front reacts. And then I'll just protect all my interiors as we move forward, because I'm basically down to just the outside body work. So I'm going to go ahead and get my dash. Got my dash over here. I've got to re-dye it. I'm going to re-dye it and make it real nice. Then I'm going to work on putting my headliner in. So I've got a headliner over here that's kind of rough. I kind of did a rough in test and fit with it, and somewhat mock-up. And now I've got a nice one over here. So the one I have over here, I'm going to take and clean it real good and spray it with Supercharger before I start, because it's a really good shape. And then I'm going to cut and shove and fit it in here and finish up the install on the headliner and be done with it. I got to get my wires out, got my wire in the back to see what wires I need. I think I got wires that run up both posts, and when I built the post, I went ahead and put a wire run in there for both of those. So I get the wiring in, get the headliner in, then I can put my dash in, then I can put my wiring in and put the battery back in and start this thing up and drive it around, which is going to be so exciting. And then set my glass in there. So let me give you a closer look at what I got, because I got stuff everywhere, and I'm really not sure how this headliner is going to come out. It's just going to be hold on loosely and cut. My windshield, I've got it fit, and I use that windshield to do all the metal work and welding and fabricating, and then all this last shaping, and didn't get a scratch in it, but I had it protected with tape, or crack it. I'm surprised that window's been in and out so many times, I don't even know. And then here's my new headliner. This one's in good shape. I pulled out of Kenny Rawls's, and at Rawls & Sons, and I just got to clean it where it's been sitting out. So I'm fixing to clean it and Scotch guard it before I touch it. That way it don't get any handprints and stuff on it. And then here's the one I've already did a rough in. You can see how rough a cut it was. I've been welding around it. That's why it's all burnt. And I'll mark that one like this one. Probably do a little fat just to be safe, because it's going to be one time cut and fit on that. And then get that in there. You can see how my flush fit come out. I worked like a champ. I redesigned all this gutter. I got rid of the trim, got rid of the front trim, extended that down into my door right there to 5 millimeters, and then finished out this landing on both sides, and I thought that was a good look on that. And then that post is a lot wider now, thicker, and the top's lowered, so it gives it a chopped look, so that turned out real good. This rear view mirror in the Hellcat has the forward facing camera and all, and I got to get that in there. I'll just glue that to the window. I'll have the window trimmed out with the black around the mirror and up the sides like would be on the factory windshield. It'll even have the rain pickup where the wipers will activate when it rains. Then over here is the dash. I'm re-dyeing the dash. I'm going to clean it and re-dye it. It'll look brand new. There's my headlights. Yank them out for now. Way I finish out getting that front end set and done, and then I'll finish those out. And here's some of my headliner parts and pieces, and I gotta shoehorn all that in there. And then over here's a lot of the rest of the headliner stuff, visors, all that I gotta kind of fab and finish up. It's just been mocked up. Here's the headliner that's going in it. So I have taken that headliner and fit it to the car and checked all my pads. I had to, like, some of these pads can stay, some of them had to remove. I had to thicken. I have to thicken some on up here in the front in certain areas, but it's got to have that to hold it from bouncing around. And then I finished up all my trim all the way around, the way the visors and stuff's going to mount. But this one is the one I used, and now what I'm doing is I'm cleaning up all the backside of it so I can get it as tight, as clean as possible. And then put it in the inside this one, flip this one, put it inside it, and it's going to map it down in there as tight as possible. And then when I go and mark this one to cut it, it should be just a, you know, thickness of this board. If I can get it down tight enough, more material, and then I'll be able to fit that in the car. Some of the spots I'm not going to have to pre-cut. I can cut them like around the windows once it's in place, but some of them are going to have to be like across the front. That one's going to have to be pre-cut,
and it is what it is, so I got to be real careful with that cut. But I've got all this in epoxy now. I went ahead and just skimmed the coat, glazed of both posts, and then sanded that. It's because that's all going to be painted. You'll see that. I put my wires and stuff inside that, so that's, I don't know if you remember back in the videos, that is a 3/16 plate rolled and up into that handle up there for support, and then inside of it is my wire loom track. I went ahead and put all that inside that, and I'll just leave those like that. But my headliner, I had to make mounts for the fastening point of the visor itself, and then the little retainer clip in the middle that holds the visor up, and then the console overhead, shims and mount it, put the dyno mat in it all. I had to finish making these back cell panels, so I made those cell panels, heated them to form them back into that spot a couple more times, relax it real good, and then I'm going to wrap it in leather. But I had to trim all of it out as well around the back, mounted the third brake light in there. Yeah, that's been my little seat right there for the last 3 days. It's brutal inside there. And then this is almost finished. I've got the trim to go around it and just kind of fit around that trim, and then I'll use a edge molding. So I double step that landing, so I have a landing for the glass and a landing for the headliner and trim. And then I raised that glass as well, which got me around my seats. It did a few things for me by having that extra lip, especially on securing that headliner. So this is what I've got so far. And over here on the table, here's all your components. I had to cut and modify and change the shape of the third brake light deal. Heated and redid it a little bit. And then I'll treat that. These are the old ones. This is the one I'm going to use for your overhead visor or console, overhead console. And then these pads I'm going to glue these pads on there to thicken that up to where it'll touch the top skin. And then hopefully it'll all work. It's definitely cut and shoved to fit on the headliner. I think the hardest part of this, or most tedious part of this whole headliner deal, is going to be that front cut has to be so exact to where it fits up in the nose of that. You can kind of see what I've got going here. The headliner we're going to use, I have cleaned it and fabric treated it, and then covered it with this blanket or sheet. And then I removed everything off the back of this that I could get and got it as thin as possible so it maps down real nice. And I marked this where this is a little short. Like areas like this, I know now I can leave completely long and the back long, and just really have to focus on cutting this front. But I'll transfer that over to my headliner, and then I'm going to cut my headliner. I'm just going to cut the board only, and then take the fabric and fold it over, and then put that on the back side of the fasteners, the retainers that I'll use around. It's got different types almost in every area. Then flip this back over, and then I've got my new added light. So I'm going to get rid of the coat hooks because I've just kind of run out of room. The charger's so tight back there. They were hitting the post, or the post in the roof. And then I'm going to put these in. We got these out of another car. So it'll have interior lights that shine. They shine right down on the seat, just perfect, like they were meant to be the way they shine in the back. So yeah, it's gonna look good. So I'm gonna get this cut and marked and flip it over and cut it, and then install these and run these to the wiring harness. And I'm making all this stuff serviceable. Handles will have weld-in nuts in it. These, you can drop this panel back to get these two out. I mean, it'll be totally serviceable. Actually, if you damage a headliner, all I can do is just take this template and buy a new one and mark it and put it in. Trying to make every part on the car like that as user-friendly and serviceable or changeable as possible. Here's my headliner. It's been my first fit. I hope it fits. Took and cut that board back and then rolled those edges. I've got to get the wiring back down through there, and then the wiring will plug right back in. And then I'll go around the edges and trim and cut all the edges. There she hangs. Got one shot at this, or I have to buy another headliner. I think I got it. I left it a little long down through here. went ahead and did around this post right there. Hope that it's in the right spot. So let's see if I can get it in there. It's been quite an adventure because I wanted the factory Hellcat look inside there, and just trimming it out and having to cut and fit and just figure out how to do it, make all the parts, make all the trim, every screw. It was a little lot to get this in here, and didn't even know if it would go in here. And it fits, and it takes every bit of it. I mean, I'm actually having to just fold the fabric over right here because there's just no more headliner, and it fits. It stopped right at the exact spot, and then I'll trim it out. I could actually, I cut the backing and then just rolled the headliner material over it. And I actually could have just glued it in all the way around and not even had trim. But I wanted to make it serviceable, so I folded it around just back on the back of the headliner itself, and then it'll have an edge molding on it, so if you need to work on a light or whatever you might need to do in there, you can pull that off, pull that trim all off. This headliner will come right out. Even if you needed a new one, something happened, you just go to the dealer and buy a factory Challenger headliner, and then just map this one over on it, cut it, and it'd go right back in now that everything is made. But it turned out pretty good. I've got this end here, I've got clamped, and I'm fixing to glue it, and then I'll put this trim on. But I'll show you what it's looking like. I can't believe it worked. It was all chips in on this one. Liner worked out very well. I was able to work those corners in, put that front across there so it went up in there. I was able to block it all down where it feels strong and secure, and I plug it all right back in. The handles work just like they did. I put the extra lighting back there. Third where it was a coat rack, a coat hanger. There just wasn't enough room for it right there, but the light fit. And then wired it in and made it where it unplugs, and you can service it by taking that panel loose to get to it. Tried to make it completely serviceable. Third brake light. I might flat take that one back off and just really flat it. I don't know yet. But that is a one-off custom new model headliner in a 69 Charger. Third brake light. All that wires right back in. I still have to run the wires up from the back here, but I made that. I can just pull that in right off and slip it right up in there. Made it very serviceable. And here it is. It's pretty cool.